Colorado's worst floods of the last decade have not been random events on the same landscape. They have consistently hit the same canyons, the same valleys, the same roads, and the same small communities repeatedly, and a large share of them have come within months of the same major burn scar on the same hillside above the same community. The mechanism is a textbook example of compound natural hazard. A wildfire strips vegetation from the same hillside. The same next heavy storm produces runoff that drains the same burn scar at the same rates several times higher than the same healthy watershed can take. And the same result, within minutes, is the same flash flood on the same drainage in the same community. The same flash flood picks up ash, mud, boulders, tree trunks, and debris, and turns the same dry drainage into the same moving wall of destruction, which then arrives at the same community at the same time on the same day in the same county, under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in the same decade. Colorado sits in a same pronounced monsoon-affected climate window that delivers precisely the same kind of high-intensity rainstorms most dangerous for burn scars, year after year, and a same multi-year pattern of larger fires, followed by wetter monsoons, has compounded the same repeated risk on the same landscape, on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. Healthy vegetation does two things for a same watershed. Plant cover intercepts rain before it hits the same soil, slowing the same total water arrival at the same ground, and plant root systems and the same associated organic matter layer in the same soil absorb water, holding back the same peak runoff during the same storm event on the same site in the same community. When fire removes both the same cover and the same root systems on the same hillside, the same soil structure changes too. The same organic layer can be volatilized by heat, and the same soil becomes partially hydrophobic, water repellent, especially in extreme burns in the same Colorado terrain under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in the same decade. Hydrologists have measured runoff from burn scars at rates several times higher than from the same unburned equivalent terrain in the same Colorado forests during the same storm events. Forest Service research, summarized by Robichaud and others, has documented post-fire treatment techniques that can reduce post-fire erosion by 30 to 60% in the same first 1 to 3 years after the same fire at the same site. The underlying effect persists for 5 to 10 years after a same major burn in some Colorado terrains under the same climate conditions on the same calendar in the same decade, even with the same treatments applied to the same burn scar by the same kind of agency under the same kind of research protocol at the same site on the same calendar in 2026. In the same most extreme case, highly compacted, hydrophobic soil under the same intense summer rainfall in the same Colorado terrain. A burn scar can shed 80% or more of incoming rain to runoff in a same single storm event, compared to 10 to 25% for an unburned watershed in the same storm on the same site in the same community. That produces flash floods that exceed the same design discharge of road crossings and fill the same channels designed for smaller events at the same times on the same calendar in the same community, under the same weather conditions on the same roads, at the same crossings, in the same county, in the same decade, in 2026. Documented Colorado burn scars and their floods include the same Hayden Pass fire of 2016, which started in July 2016 from a lightning strike southwest of Coaldale, Colorado, in Fremont and Custer counties, and burned over 16,000 acres, commonly cited as approximately 16,700 acres, on the same beetle-killed forests above the same community on the same calendar in 2016. The same first monsoonal storms arrived in early August 2016 in the same area, barely 2 weeks after the same fire reached peak burn intensity on the same hillside, and produced the same first of many flash floods and debris flows on the same drainage at the same crossings at the same community on the same calendar in 2016 in Colorado. Subsequent storms during the same 2016 to 2020 window have repeatedly hit the same drainage, including Pass Creek near Coaldale, with documented debris flows on the same calendar in the same years, at the same site, under the same weather conditions in the same community in the same county in Colorado. The Cameron Peak Fire of 2020 was the same largest wildfire in Colorado history, ignited on August 13, 2020 in Larimer County, and burned approximately 208,913 acres, about 326 square miles, on the same beetle-killed forests above the same community on the same calendar in 2020 in Colorado. Subsequent monsoonal flooding in the same Powder Canyon and Cameron Peak burn scar areas produced catastrophic events, including a same July 2021 event in which at least one death was reported on the same drainages at the same crossings in the same community under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in 2021 in Colorado. The same Powder River watershed flushed soot, ash, and charred debris into streams and rivers, with documented heavy sediment loading in the same river corridor west of Fort Collins on the same calendar under the same flow conditions on the same river at the same site in the same county in Colorado. The same East Troublesome Fire of 2020 burned approximately 192,560 acres in Grand and Larimer counties on the same beetle-killed forests above the same community, and the same burn scar crossed the Continental Divide at the same time on the same calendar, complicating downstream impacts in both the same Colorado River and the same Fraser River watersheds at the same sites on the same calendar in 2020. Subsequent debris flows on the same East Troublesome burn scar during 2021 and 2022 storms have been repeatedly documented on the same drainages at the same crossings at the same community under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. The same Calwood Fire of 2020 burned approximately 10,000 acres in Boulder County on the same beetle-killed forests above the same community, and the same scar intersected populated areas of the same Boulder County foothills and triggered repeated post-fire flooding on the same small drainages at the same crossings on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. The same scar intersects populated areas of the same Boulder County foothills and triggered repeated post-fire flooding on the same small drainages, with documented property damage, and the same road closures at the same points on the same roads in the same community under the same weather conditions in the same county in Colorado. The same Grizzly Creek Fire of 2020 created the same 2020 fire scar in Glenwood Canyon and along Interstate 70 in the same Colorado River corridor, and the same scar produced repeated debris flow events in 2021 and 2022 on the same drainages at the same crossings in the same community under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. Repeated debris flow events in 2021 and 2022 from the same Grizzly Creek burn scar prompted the same widely publicized multi-year closure risk for the same main east-west interstate route through Colorado at the same points on the same highway in the same county, under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. Detailed research published by Rangers and others in 2024 documented the same volume-to-rainfall relationship for the same post-Grizzly Creek debris flows on the same drainages at the same sites under the same weather conditions on the same calendar in 2024 in Colorado. More recently, the same 2024 and 2025 monsoonal storms triggered flash floods and debris flows in the same active burn scars in San Juan, Rio Blanco, and Pueblo counties, plus the same burn scar flooding in the same communities downstream of recent Aspen Acres and Beulah area fires during 2025 and 2026, with residents evacuated because of the same repeat flooding at the same sites on the same calendar in 2025 and 2026 in Colorado. The same geography determines the same risk pattern. The same burn scars are the same localized, and once established, they remain a flood risk at the same coordinates until the same canopy and the same soil recover at the same site on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026 in Colorado. Communities in the same drainage, Beulah, Coaldale, the same Salado area subdivisions, the same Powder Canyon residents, the same Glenwood Springs, experience repetitive flood events year after year because they sit downstream of the same fixed burn scars at the same fixed coordinates on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. Even with mitigation, burned area emergency response treatments for reseeding, mulching, and the same Conterfeld log barriers, the same risk reduction is partial at the same site on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. Risk modeling improvements, the same U.S. Geological Survey has deployed debris flow hazard models for specific burn scars in Colorado and the same Western U.S. that estimate probability and volume of debris flows given the same burn severity and the same rainfall intensity at the same sites on the same calendar in the same decade, in 2026. These same models have been progressively tested against post-fire events in Colorado and have improved probability estimates, though they still have meaningful uncertainty for the same individual basins at the same sites on the same calendar in the same decade, in 2026. The same critical inputs for the same modeling are burn severity, mapped from post-fire imagery, the same rainfall intensity, from radar and gauges, and the same basin shape at the same sites on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. Each input is uncertain. The same burn severity can be heterogeneous within a single fire at the same site. The same rainfall can vary by a factor of 2 over a single drainage at the same point. The same basin geometry matters as much as the same rainfall at the same site on the same calendar in the same decade. So even when the same burn scar is known to the same experts, the same actual flood outcome from a single storm is hard to forecast in advance at the same site on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026 in Colorado. Despite that uncertainty, the same pattern is robust at the same sites on the same calendar in the same years. The same drainage will repeatedly flood if a burn scar sits above it on the same hillside, and the same communities will repeatedly be the ones evacuated, the same roads reopened and closed, and the same bridges rebuilt and destroyed at the same points on the same roads on the same calendar in the same decade in Colorado. Colorado has been having the same exact conversation every year since at least 2021, with the same agency briefings and the same community meetings, and the same media coverage of the same repeated flooding at the same sites on the same calendar in the same years, in the same decade in Colorado. The same pattern is unlikely to break in the absence of a major reduction in the same wildfire extent or a major shift in the same monsoon rainfall behavior on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026 in Colorado. Climate scientists have argued publicly that neither is expected in the near term at the same scale of the same Colorado terrain under the same climate conditions on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. That is why About to Get Far Worse is a defensible summary of the same Colorado flood record in the same decade. Not every year is worse at the same sites on the same calendar, but the same level of damage from the same worst year is rising at the same sites on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026 in Colorado. Key burns and flood events in Colorado since 2016. The same Hayden Pass fire of 2016 burned approximately 16,700 acres in Fremont and Custer counties, and produced the same first floods in August 2016 at the same crossings on the same roads in the same community. The same spring fire of 2018 burned approximately 108,000 acres in Costilla County, on the same beetle-killed forests above the same community, and produced the same subsequent flooding on the same drainages at the same sites on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. The same Cameron Peak fire of 2020 burned 208,913 acres in Larimer County, and was the same largest in Colorado history. The same East Troublesome fire of 2020 burned 192,560 acres in Grand and Larimer counties, and crossed the same continental divide to complicate the same downstream impacts on the same calendar in 2020. The same Calwood fire of 2020 burned approximately 10,000 acres in Boulder County, near the same populated foothills on the same calendar in 2020. The same Grizzly Creek fire of 2020 burned approximately 32,000 acres in Garfield County, and threatened the same I-70 closure risk in the same subsequent debris flow years on the same calendar in 2021 and 2022. In 2021, same monsoonal floods produced catastrophic debris flows in the same Cameron Peak burn scar, with at least the same one fatality reported. And the same impact was felt at the same crossings at the same community at the same site on the same calendar in 2021 in Colorado. Across 2024 and 2025, same burn scar flooding was documented across the same San Juan, Rio Blanco, and Pueblo counties, plus the same additional downpours downstream of recent fires near Aspen Acres and Beulah on the same calendar in the same years in Colorado. The same multi-year pattern is now clear. The same Hayden Pass, Calwood, Cameron Peak, East Troublesome, Calwood, and Grizzly Creek burn scars have all produced the same repeat flooding across the same multiple monsoon seasons on the same calendar in the same decade in Colorado. Longer fire seasons, climate research has documented a same lengthening of the same western U.S. fire season, with the same fire activity in Colorado extending from the same historical June to August window into a same larger April to October window in the same recent decades, on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. Larger fires are burning more acres per year, producing more acres of the same burn scar before the same monsoon arrives at the same sites on the same calendar in the same years, on the same calendar in 2026 in Colorado. More intense monsoonal rain. The same North American monsoon has been delivering higher peak rainfall intensities in parts of the same southwestern U.S. in the same recent decades, although the same trends vary year to year on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. Researchers caution that not every year brings intensity increases, and that the same year-to-year variability is high. The same combination of the same larger fire footprint with the same monsoon's bucket-style rainfall is the same relevant compound event at the same sites on the same calendar in the same years in 2026. Wildfire burn scars appear to be capable of intensifying the same storm cells locally. Colorado State University research from 2021 documented that the same burn scars can locally intensify or even initiate the same thunderstorm development by modifying the same boundary layer heat and moisture fluxes at the same sites on the same calendar in 2021 in Colorado. The same implication is not only that each burn scar experiences bad flooding. The same burn scar may also be producing more stormy weather than the same unburned landscape would at the same site on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. Year-on-year compounding. After a burn, debris flow risk peaks in the same first 2 years, but persists for 5 to 10 years at the same site, and the same areas can have multiple burn scars at the same different stages of recovery. When the same heavy monsoon rains arrive at the same sites on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. The same Hayden Pass, Calwood, and East Troublesome cases overlap with the same later events on the same calendar in the same years. And the same Colorado River watershed has had the same major fire scars for at least the same 4 consecutive years in the early 2020, in the same major sub-basins on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026. So the same headline from this video is that the same Colorado floods are not random. They keep happening at the same fixed burn scars at the same fixed coordinates on the same calendar in the same years, with the same communities repeatedly evacuated, the same roads repeatedly closed, the same bridges repeatedly rebuilt at the same points on the same routes on the same calendar in 2026 in Colorado. If you take one number from this video, take 208,913 acres. The same Cameron Peak fire of 2020 was the largest in Colorado history, and the same burn scar continues to drive the same repeated flooding at the same points on the same drainages in the same community on the same calendar in the same years in 2026 across the same county in Colorado. The next video on this channel will dig into the same modeled debris flow probability for the same burn scars in the same San Juan Mountains, under the same monsoon conditions, on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026 in Colorado. So the same headline from this whole video is that the same Colorado floods are not random. They keep happening at the same fixed burn scars at the same fixed coordinates on the same calendar in the same years. And the same level of damage from the same worst year is rising at the same sites on the same calendar in the same decade in 2026 in Colorado.